Hi, I'm Carrie and welcome to Puzzle Kids. Now, if you have a neurodivergent child and they've received a diagnosis, I'm sure the big question that you've wrestled with as a parent is, do I tell my child? And if so, then when? And for me as a mom with two kids that are on the spectrum, my daughter has Asperger's or high-functioning autism along with ADHD, and my son has early child autism. That was a question that I started to wrestle with, and I've got other family members that are neurodivergent. And I remember when my daughter got her diagnosis, it wasn't me that got the ball rolling. It was my husband who's neurodivergent, and he insisted that she get assessed. For me, I just thought, well, she's a highly sensitive child. She's really, really smart. I was proud as a peacock. She could count to 20 before the age of 2 in 2 languages. But she was assessed and then diagnosed, and I remember thinking, well, I'll keep the diagnosis in my back pocket. I don't have to share that with anyone. Until the first day of school, the parents were invited to come along to observe their children, and the wheels literally fell off. She had a major meltdown, and it just became apparent standing there that day how different she was to other kids, and things just went downhill from there. Her self-esteem really took a knock as she was having constant meltdowns, as she just wasn't able to concentrate or think the same way the other kids were. She wasn't intuitive like the other kids socially, and she really, really struggled. She wasn't making friends, and she suddenly had a lot of questions about herself. Soon after the first day of school, I had then gone to a teacher. We chatted about the diagnosis. It then all became clear, and we formed strategies, and luckily she has a teacher that has some training in autism. She's had it for 2 years. Thank goodness for that. But I noticed my child really, really struggling. Although she was academic, she didn't want to go to school anymore. I saw her beating herself up. I saw her starting to mask in order to try to fit in and be more like the other kids. And I felt like I was losing my daughter. Her spark was beginning to fade. It became apparent that we needed to have a conversation. And I think for me, what was the most important thing was all the conversations we'd had before that one. Just conversations that were neuro-affirming. And here is a definition of what that means. What we really want to do is take away that stigma that autism or being neurodivergent is this terrible disorder, and that you've got to try and fix a person. We want to be affirming. We want to focus on strengths. We want to show our kids that even if you don't think in a linear way, maybe you think in fireworks, that can be spectacular. We want to focus on strengths. We want to remain positive. And I just think I'd always say to my daughter, hey, other kids shine maybe with one color, but you're a rainbow and you're spectacular because you are unique. And we'd always celebrated the fact that she was different, and that's how God had made her, and we'd celebrated that. So for me, it was just making sure that the backdrop of her story was positive. And so when I had to have a hard conversation with her, it was then neuro-affirming. It was then saying it's okay to be different. And maybe there are some delays, or maybe there are some weaknesses, but look, there's so many strengths. And we're going to work on some of those weaknesses. And your whole identity is not wrapped up in being on the spectrum and being neurodivergent. You're still Audrey. You're still the person that you were before, that was loved, that was seen, that was celebrated. And I think that was the most important thing. And I follow a wonderful autism psychologist. Her name is Sandhya Menon. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But she is really neuro-affirming in her approach with kids and adults, and she is all for letting your kids know as soon as they are in the place where they can understand. So when they're little, you're not necessarily using the term ADHD or autism, but you're just celebrating them being different. You're affirming them. You're creating that positive backdrop to their story, so that when you come to the chapter that's maybe confronting that neurodivergent diagnosis, there isn't that negative stigma. And she says that these kids become more self-aware. And when you become more self-aware, you're able to accept yourself. You're able to understand yourself better. And I have neurodivergent adults in my life, some that I'm very close to, that got a diagnosis much later on. And it was only then that they stopped masking. It was only then that they realized that, hey, I'm someone to be celebrated. I'm not someone to be fixed. And maybe there are delays, and maybe there are therapies, and I'm all for ABA therapy in certain contexts. But it's when those people got their diagnosis and were able to affirm and acknowledge that, hey, I'm not weird. It's okay to be different. And who gets to write the rules about what normal looks like? And the fact that I'm fearfully and I'm wonderfully made, and that can be celebrated. I do want to say, though, I know that there are parents that are dealing with nonverbal kids, that are dealing with kids with severe meltdowns, that are at the end of the rope, that are really, really saying, I'm struggling with this autism, or I'm struggling with this ADHD. I don't know what to do. So I don't want to make light of that. And it's about keeping the lines open. You know, the stronger you've built that bridge, that connection towards your child, the more you can jump on that bridge without it collapsing. And at the beginning of this year, a teacher and I, we had a discussion. She wanted to bring in an autism expert. And my automatic reaction was, oh, so should I leave my child at home? And this autism expert said to me, no, I want her to be part of the conversation. We're not going to pick on her, but what I want to do is make all the kids aware of what neurodiversity is. And she shared a beautiful video with the kids. And I've seen that there's a video on autism. There's even a video on ADHD, and I'll put the links below in the comments. And the kids watched that. And my daughter went up to the autism specialist at the end and said, hi, I'm Audrey and I'm autistic. And she came home and she had tears in her eyes when she shared with me. She said, you know, Mommy, I felt understood. We've just got the news that my daughter is going to be receiving a teacher assistant or a companion with her to help her socially at school, to help her with activities, with sports, not necessarily with academics, but with all the other areas where she struggles. And we really celebrate that. And the backdrop to her story is a positive one, because we are neuro-affirming. And it's not like we talk about autism or neurodivergency in our house a lot. We don't. But it's all about keeping the lines of communication open. And so we're able to work through these changes with our daughter, because she understands. She knows that she's on the spectrum, and she doesn't find it weird. She just knows that she ticks differently and beautifully, but therefore she needs different support to other kids who might have academic problems and they need other support. She's able to understand and process them. My son, Adam, he's only just turned 5, and he requires more academic support. And from the new year, he's going to be going to, in Germany, we call them SV, but it's pretty much a special needs kindergarten that prepares them for schooling. We're going to be ready and full of love when the time is right to be able to have those tough conversations. I'm a teacher at the moment working at a Montessori school, and just having taught kids from so many different backgrounds, many with special needs, understanding that it's all about the backdrop. When the backdrop is positive, when you can love and appreciate people for who they are, very often you're able to have the difficult conversations. You're able to be honest. You've built a bridge of connection. So when you need to, sometimes you can jump on it. When you need to, you can have the hard conversations because they feel loved and accepted. So that's my message to you, really with the heart of wanting to create a sense of community, spread awareness, and help your puzzle kids to find their fit. Please, if you found this helpful, if you think this would help someone else who's grappling with being neurodivergent and needs the encouragement or needs to be able to tell their kids and have the difficult conversations, won't you share this video? Won't you subscribe? Anyway, that's me from Puzzle Kids. Let's spread the news. Let's help our puzzle kids to find their fit. That's it from me. Bye-bye.